All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. Man, it's been a fun show. So this is what I love about what we do, JD, is that, we could talk about a very serious crisis issue, which is opioids, and then all of a sudden Tom Arnold is on, and I think he was on about 18 different drugs. And then we have Michael Avenatti on, and you want to talk about opposite ends of the spectrum, with all due respect to both of them, in regards to attorneys. We go from Michael Avenatti to the Van Law Firm and Sandy Van. Two very different attorneys. Two very skilled in their craft. Sandy Van joining us right now in studio. Sandy, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Always fun to have you in studio. So we talk a lot about insurance in Las Vegas, car accidents, which I was in one, and you guys did a great job representing me. I just said in the last segment that there are just so many horrendous drivers in Las Vegas, right, JD? You can attest to this, correct?
Yeah, that's why I'm for that high-speed train system if it gets done.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We want
That'd
less
so
people
good.
on the roadways. But with that being said, it's important to have full coverage. It's important to have insurance, for that matter. You have to have insurance so you can get into a lot of trouble. So I hear this term all the time, full coverage. So can you tell me, Sandy, what is full coverage?
I think full coverage is more of a misnomer. It gets really confusing to people because people think, oh, they'll pay for everything if I'm in an accident. But let me just tell you that your full coverage is different from Mark Zuckerberg's full coverage. I probably want, if I was to get in an accident, I'd probably want Mark Zuckerberg to hit me.
Right, so would I.
Just make sure that you have excellent coverage that's going to protect your family and your situation, because if you don't have enough insurance, you may be not having your medical bills paid for or your pain and suffering paid for. So I think that full coverage, you should actually change the word and stop using that word. Just basically means that it's going to cover for your car or, it may not cover everything.
Is it a misconception, though, that if you get hit by a vehicle that is a really expensive vehicle, oh, they must have a huge policy? I mean, isn't that kind of like a misconception?
It is a misconception because I've seen people that have liability on a brand new car. And I'm like, what were you thinking? And it doesn't even cover to fix their car.
So have you ever been in a situation where somebody gets hit and the car is worth, it's just a lemon. It's worth like $500. But yet you are pleasantly surprised that lemon, that person, male or female, that's driving a horrendous vehicle has like a $100,000 policy. Has that ever happened to you?
Actually, I have to say that my mom is that person.
Really?
My mom has like a 2000 or 2006 Camry, and it's, beat up and stuff like that. But I said, hey, Mom, you need to have enough coverage. And for you to get one of the important coverages to have is uninsured, underinsured motorist, because you may be a great driver that never gets into an accident. But what about the drunk driver who's traveling down the wrong direction of the road?
It's true. You got to be prepared.
So,
you got to be protected.
Yeah. My mom has $100,000 worth of coverage and $100,000 worth of UIM, uninsured, underinsured motorist, because you can't have great protection for yourself and not for when you hit someone. So it has to be equal or lesser value.
So don't assume that if you get hit by a vehicle that is not an expensive vehicle, that they don't have coverage and they don't have good coverage. You never know, right?
Never know, but more likely than not.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if you have coverage of $50,000 and you hit someone and the bill for the other person is $200,000 and you have a business within an LLC? Can they touch that?
They can go after you for any assets that are not in the LLC, and they can probably go after the distributions from the LLC. So if you get a payroll that pays you, your business pays you $200,000, they can go garnish that. So you want to have enough coverage to cover you if you have a significant
And
assets.
that was my next question. I mean, what types of insurance coverages should people have? I know that's kind of a general question, but
so if you're looking at your declaration page, your insurance declaration page, you should have liability to cover the other party that you hit. So that should be significant enough to cover like the type of assets that you have. You may want $1 million policy if you have a business or something, or a multi-million-dollar policy. You might want to have umbrella coverage. State of Nevada, the state law requires that you only have $25,000, but I really suggest having more. So that's liability in case you hit someone. So people you don't know, strangers, things like that. And you really usually don't care about because you don't know them. They're strangers, right? And then underneath that, there would be MedPay coverage. MedPay covers you, your medical bills, your copays, your deductibles. It's kind of like a rebate. So if you have receipts and medical bills and medical records, you can just turn those in and then you'll get payment for that. It covers anyone in your car. So if you and your 5 girlfriends are going to go watch Celine Dion or something, you guys are in an accident and you have $25,000 worth of MedPay, so long as we turn in medical bills and records of $25,000, we could get you and your girlfriends, your 5 girlfriends or whatever, the $25,000. So it's just like a rebate back in the day. I know I'm aging myself.
That's
but
okay.
Yeah.
For the record, I've never seen Celine Dion before, and I don't think I'm going to because she's retired. Have you ever seen Celine Dion, by the way?
I never have, no, but
No.
she does not look overly healthy right now.
She doesn't look
no?
good. She's very skinny.
No?
Yeah, she's very skinny. She needs to eat something other than a
But
salad.
I would see her.
Yeah.
You would-
She's very good.
You'd also need uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
Yes,
so
I
that
was gonna ask you
covers
about
you in case you're hit by someone that doesn't have enough coverage. So let's say the other person has $25,000 worth of coverage, but you have $200,000 in medical bills. You better hope that you have good uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, which is also called UMUIM. And some insurance companies will stack that, which means that they'll triple it. Like I'm with Liberty Mutual, got a great agent, and I have mine stacked. So I have like a few cars, and they just triple the coverage because I have 3 cars.
Right.
So you want to have uninsured motorist coverage as high as you can afford because you never know if someone hits you. And they don't have enough coverage. So let's say they have $25,000 and you have $200,000 worth of medical bills. If they hit 7 vehicles and now
Yes.
they have to pay for 7 people and they don't have enough coverage. Or if they hit and run you. So they've hit
Gotcha.
you and they run off and you have no coverage and no one to pay for your medical bills and all that stuff. You want to make sure that you have uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
Which happens all the time. in
Fascinating.
Vegas.
If maybe we should take a few calls on this because certainly this is Sandy Van from the Van Law Firm, and she is extremely knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff. And you know, God forbid, we don't want you to get into an accident, but you know, people get into accidents in Las Vegas. It happens all the time. It happens everywhere. The number to call 257-5396 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Ask Sandy a question. Feel free. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we take a question from Elle? Elle, thanks for calling in. You're on with Sandy Van. How are you?
Hey, Al.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Sandy, I think you're an injury, you know, specialize in injuries, but answer a question for me, please. I had this friend. She took her car to a dealership, and they had it. It was going to be repaired. Someone stole it and totaled it, and I don't think she had enough insurance. Can she fight this at all? Because she's hearing that she may have to pay, their insurance company will pay just a small amount. She'll have to pay like $7,000 because it's totaled and it was a 2016. What kind of law is that? And can she ask anybody to help her with that?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I would go after the place that she had it fixed at and see what kind of coverage they have. But
no,
it will.
She doesn't. It just happened.
Interesting. Okay, so the other thing is it could be that it's covering the fair market value of the car. So let's say, for example, we had a client this yesterday or something that had a $35,000 car, and they had just rolled off the lot 30 days later, and their car is probably totaled now. And their car, let's say you got a bad deal. Let's say you had bad credit, or you just got suckered at the car dealership and you paid $35,000 for a car, but your car is now worth $25,000. You have to pay that difference, that $10,000 difference. That might be what's happening in that situation, unless she has gap coverage, which covers the difference between the fair market value and what the car is worth or has depreciated to.
Oh, God, gap coverage.
Yeah,
She would have had to have
Gap
but
coverage,
they're-
it's the
they're
day of the
liable, though.
accident.
I recommend you tell your friend to call the Van Law Firm. I think
The Van Law Firm.
Yes.
And
I
explain
think
it
that's
all.
sound
I will
advice.
do that. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you. I appreciate
you.
the call, Al. There you go.
Thanks a lot, Al.
I think you just got a customer. That was an interesting question, though. It sounds too complex, but not for me, but certainly not for Sandy. So we're talking so much about coverage, right? We're talking about MedPay coverage, gap coverage. Can you explain what these are? What do they mean?
So, well, we talked about uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. We talked about MedPay and how it pays for your medical bills, co-pays, and deductibles. Another thing to do is if you have this coverage, it covers anyone in your family or household. You know, so if little Johnny is playing in the street and he gets run over by the neighbor or something, unfortunately, it'll cover little Johnny. As long as it's a vehicle and an injury, it'll cover Johnny, even though he's not in a vehicle. He's just playing in the street, or he's a
Right.
pedestrian walking across the strip. You know, so it covers your family members. It's the people that you know and care about, you know, so you definitely want that coverage. Or let's say you're in your friend's vehicle and you guys are going to go play bingo and your friend has really crappy insurance and the guy who hit them has really crappy insurance. It still covers you even if you're not in that vehicle. So you want to have this coverage. It's very important. A lot of insurance agents don't tell you about it because they want to keep your policies low just to sell you the policy and get you out the door. And you're not adequately adequately protected in case you're in an accident or cause an accident or are injured in an accident. So,
Gotcha. JD, go
So
ahead.
hypothetical situation, you have a family, you have 3 kids and a wife, and assuming you're a male, and you make $80,000 a year, you have about $550,000 in assets. How much money should you spend a month on total insurance to properly cover yourself?
I would say as much as you can, as much as you can. I've seen people lose limbs in an accident. You lose a limb, probably $1 million or more. What if you hit someone and now they're on life care, they're in lifetime, they need care. They're hooked up to a machine and they need a nurse for the rest of their lives. You could be on the hook for that or having to file bankruptcy, or they could be going through your assets. So I actually went through and used to do collections. So I used to be a collection attorney, and I would be the one that would be suing you to get that judgment, to go garnish your wages, get your bank accounts, lien your property, so all that could happen, which could force you into bankruptcy.
Isn't it interesting, though, this business, how it works, putting a price tag on losing an arm or a leg? I mean, is there different price ranges based on if you lose an arm or a leg? Is one more than the other? I'm just curious. I mean, I know that sounds like a weird question.
It just depends. It depends on a lot of things. If you're partly at fault, it depends on which jurisdiction you're in. If you're in Kingman, Arizona, the verdicts there could be a lot lower than they could be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really just depends on a bunch of things.
Wow.
And it depends on if they're going to need care for the rest of their lives.
Sure. No, that makes sense, of course. So tell me, what is disability insurance?
So a lot of people think that they're in an accident, that the other party's supposed to make them whole and make their life all better again and get them back to where they used to be, which is normally the goal. But sometimes that's not possible if that other party only has $25,000 worth of insurance. And really, they're not going to pay anything until the case is over, until they determine that they're really at fault and until they know what the damages really are, and until then, you're like, oh my God, my back hurts and I can't work. I can't provide for my family. I'm losing my job because I can't lift things anymore. So hopefully you had disability insurance at that time, short-term or long-term disability, to pay for when you can't work. So that's basically that. You have to have all these insurance coverages. You had to have health insurance. Just because someone hits you doesn't mean that you're going to get a settlement tomorrow. It means that we need to go determine everything, and it might be a year. It might be 2 years
Takes a while.
from now.
But luckily, when you took up my case, it did not take that long. But certain cases are more complex than others. I know in my case, they immediately admitted fault. That takes away a lot of time and effort,
Correct.
obviously.
Yeah.
So every case is different. Every accident is different. Every injury is different. I mean, it's so crazy. Okay, so just like we had a caller call in a few minutes ago, wanted to get your advice, and I'm assuming her friend is going to call your firm. I imagine there's a lot of people listening that want to know, how do they contact you? How do they get advice? Is there any charge? So give that information. How do people contact you, and how do they get this process started if they've been in an accident, been hurt, been injured?
They can call our office, Van Law Firm. Our phone number is 702-500-HURT or 702-529-1011. There is no charge. We give free consultations. We don't ever charge you for your case, and we just get paid based on a contingency fee. When you get your settlement, we will take a portion of that.
Got it. All right. We'll give her a call. It's Sandy Van from the Van Law Firm. Sandy, always appreciate it when you take some time to come in. And look, we hope you don't get into an accident, but if you do, you are definitely the person to call. That is for sure. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch up with you again next week. Same time, same place, hopefully.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
There you
Thanks
go.
a lot, Sandy.
Sandy
Bye.
Van from the Van Law Firm, everybody. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.